Welcome back to the weekly installment of the Reserve List Top 10. This is from October 5th to the 12th of 2024, and today's video is not going to be for everyone out there. If you're one of those players out there who really isn't fond of the Reserve List, you might want to skip today's content. And if you love the Reserve List, you're going to want to stick around and hear this. Hey Magic fans, welcome back. MTG Moxman here, and thank you again for hanging out with me on my channel today as we discuss the Reserve List Top 10. A reminder, if you enjoyed today's content, you liked hanging out with the Moxman, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and of course you can always help me out by using my TCG Player affiliate link. It is found in the description of all of my videos. Now let's jump right in and take a look at number 10, and this is where things are already getting crazy. We've got Urza's Saga, Serra Sanctum. This card comes in with an average price of $248.13, and it had 31 sales this week. The total sales volume was $7,692, and here's the thing, as I got in a couple of emails this week, I can trade in 2 Sheoldreds and get myself a lightly played Serra Sanctum. Yes, please, and thank you, and I'm not going to miss those cards. So what does Serra Sanctum do other than provide epic artwork? This legendary land taps to add 1 white to your mana pool for each enchantment you control. Now, ever since we've seen Duskmourn come around, the sales of this card have been beefed up quite a bit, and that must be players building and constructing themselves some amazing commander decks and augmenting the already cool one in the precon. Now let's go ahead and take a look at number 9, because we are going over to Urza's Destiny, and this is Yavimaya Hollow. This card comes in with an average price tag of $70.40, but you can find moderately played copies for $50 on TCG Player. It had 42 sales this week, which is $2,956.80, and this card is one of those cards I love a lot, but here's the thing. Maybe some other content creators have been talking about this card, and things happened. Here's Yavimaya Hollow. It's a legendary land that taps to add colorless mana to your mana pool, but you can pay 1 green to regenerate a target creature. It goes really well in the green stompy decks, and it fits into a lot of commander decks as well, so always pay attention to cards like this. When they're this cheap, the market starts to take notice. This card has continually lost ground this year, and that may now be the turning point where players say, this card's a little too cheap to pass up. It's almost back to the 2018 pricing. Now we get to revised. So, who doesn't love a good Underground Sea for $770? But here's the thing about this card. It had 44 sales this week, which is $33,380 to take the number 8 spot. The real difference is this card's lost about $50 in value over this month alone, and it's had a bit of a decline and lower sales volumes. As this card has continued to lose ground in the pricing structure, it's now started to attract attention from the buying sector. Players who think this card may be getting a little bit low are taking a stab at it. All these sales were not pure cash transactions. I know of several stores that took quite a few trade-in cards of modern staples to get these cards, but they got them, they have them, and they fit themselves into commander decks. There's also rumors of all dual lands being banned in Commander. I've had this email a few times, and maybe it'll only become a bracket 4 card for all reserve list cards. But we don't know what's going to happen, and until then we get to enjoy these amazing Magic cards and have a great time playing Commander and fitting these things in. It's epic. Now let's go over to number 7 and take a look at Griffin Canyon. This card is from Visions. It's coming up because of Final Fantasy coming out next year for Magic the Gathering, and it still had 50 sales this week, which is $579.50. But here's the thing. About 3 weeks ago, we almost saw the exact same sales number when this thing sold like 150 to 160 copies because the card was like $4. Now this card's at $10.79 on average. It's costing a lot more, but it's still having about the same sales structure of price range. This card does tap to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. You can untap a target Griffin though, and that Griffin gets +1/+1. Let's not forget Changelings, Shapeshifters, and Griffins, as well as who knows what else comes out when Final Fantasy comes, could make this a card that is highly sought after. There's a lot of speculation tying into this card, and there might be some money changing hands sooner than we think. So let's wait and see what amazing things have in store for us with Final Fantasy. It's going to be an epic set, I'm sure of it. Now let's jump over and take a look at our next card. As we say goodbye to Griffin Canyon, we now have to say to something Hello, Deranged somebody. That's right, it's the Deranged Hermit still hanging out here as the price continues to fall. Players continue to buy copies of the card. It comes in at number 6 with 62 sales this week for a total sales action of $4,352.40. Now, just over a month and a half ago, this card was around $85, so it's already lost about 15 bucks off its high, and we are now seeing this card continue to dip, and that's making it attractive for a lot of players who didn't get into the early stages about 6 months ago. So if you wanted this card and you think it's at a good price, and you want to have a whole bunch of epic squirrel army battles raging across against the elves, this might be the one for you. Maybe even beat up the goblins, who knows? But players are having fun with cards like this because of its echo effect and the +1/+1 to all squirrels. This is something you can't ignore, and we never know what Wizards has in store for the future. This is just a great time to be in Magic. Great stuff. Deranged Hermit, here we go. Now we jump over and take a look at our next card this week, and that comes into the number, wait for it, number 5! That's right, guys. It is Lake of the Dead. 67 sales this week, or $5,837.04 for the sales action on this card. Some of the most iconic artwork I remember in my childhood, the early teen years. This thing was creeping us out, made us think of all kinds of crazy stuff. I love the artwork. Now, this card is at $87.12 on average. It is just a land, not legendary. And when the Lake of the Dead comes into play, you sacrifice a swamp, or you have to bury the Lake of the Dead. It taps to add 1 black to your mana pool, but what the other effect is, you can tap and sacrifice a swamp to add 4 black mana to your mana pool. It sees a lot of play in Eldrazi, and a lot of things going on with Atrocity make this card very attractive to players. It also has been slipping in price. You can find moderately played copies for about 65 bucks US, and that's where a lot of the shopping has been done this week. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at our next card this week, and it's Replenish from Urza's Destiny. Now, I got a little corrected last week where a few people said it wasn't just the card coming up being awesome, it's the fact it's being played in some top tier decks right now. So at 68 sales and an average price of $95.99, we are now getting into the pricier range of some of these reserve list cards, higher mid-tier stuff that players like to enjoy. But this is one of those cards that after you have one, you're kind of done. You just need to enjoy it for a commander deck, maybe some kitchen table Magic, depending on what you're playing. Replenishes 1 white mana and 3 generic to return all enchantment cards from your graveyard to play. That's a pretty epic ability. I do recommend the card if you can afford to get one into your budget, because this is one of those cards, if you ever build with enchantments, it's one of those things you wish you had. So it's cheaper than buying a shoulder. It's cheaper than a lot of modern cards. You may even have enough in your trade binder to get yourself one now, but the price is high, I've got to admit. Look for a heavily played copy if you're going to play with it. Just save yourself some money and enjoy the card. Now we're going into Fastbond territory. If you're wondering about revised Fastbonds, it is because of the possible unbanning from Wizards of the Coast for bracket 4 and 5 and whatever else they come up with. The attention is on the card again. Now, this thing had a total sales of $2,887. That's quite a few sales still happening on this card. And those 70 sales are nothing to snub at, guys. That's still a lot of sales this week for a card that's banned and probably won't get them banned anytime soon, but players are still hoping and dreaming of a bracket 4 or bracket 5 that have this card. As a single casting cost enchantment, you can put as many land cards into play as you want each turn, but it does deal 1 damage to you for each land beyond the first, and players are salivating at the chance to actually be able to start using this in some kind of regulated play where, you know, not just rule 0, but everyone knows you might be playing it. It's got to be a bracket 5, right? Drop some comments on that one. Now we jump over and take a look at Forsaken Waste from Mirage. This card continues to see action, and I really can't ignore it any longer. The price is holding a lot longer than I thought. 73 sales this week, $2,553.54 of sales action means this card at $34.98 is still holding its price. It is leveling out, and players are accepting the new price. It's hard to believe that just a month and a bit ago, this card was $3. Now, when we take a look at it, for 1 black and 2 generic, this enchant world says players cannot gain life. During each player's upkeep, that player loses 1 life. If Forsaken Waste is the target of a successfully cast spell, that spell's caster loses 5 life. We used to have fun with this card being blown up by our friends, only to bring it back with Skull of Orm back in the day. But now with other cards like Replenish, you have a lot of options out there to bring this card back and just make recursion a really bad thing. Love the card, love what people are doing with it. I mean, you guys let me know. Are you using this card? Is it torturing you? Be honest, everyone. Just be honest. But it's not number 1. That's right. Number 1 this week is again Tolarian Academy. This card comes in with 125 sales this week, or $26,185 of sales action. It is spiked to an average price of over $209.48 for a near mint copy. There's a lot of sales going on, a lot of speculation around this card. It is amazing. It is overpowered. It is the be-all, end-all of awesomeness. And do I hope it gets unbanned? Yes. Yes, I do, for the fun of playing with the card. Maybe it's going to be in some CDEH bracket 5 thing, but it's way too powerful. I understand that, but I would just love the idea of not just playing it at kitchen table with my friends or playing Wild Commander Nights in a small pod, but the idea that you may have to worry about this card and put in a strip mine for it just because they may be playing it makes you think, wow, the world could change really fast if Wizards of the Coast does some crazy stuff. I don't expect them to. I don't think it's going to be unbanned, but wow, the world could change. Now, a couple of the cards on today's list show some pure speculation from a lot of players hoping and dreaming of cards becoming unbanned. Tolarian Academy, Fastbond, we can always hope these things maybe find a new home in a higher bracket tier of the newly created stuff that will happen from Wizards of the Coast. But remember this, guys, Wizards of the Coast is going to take their time. They're going to take baby steps. They're going to be analyzing things for months and months before they dream of doing anything. Then they got to get R&D and development. This will not be an easy time in Magic. But for the meantime, it offers a lot of excitement into what's going on in the secondary market. Now, I know that Alpha Investments, the Taco King, put out a video talking about Tolarian Academy. I know it went out there and got quite a few views, and a whole bunch of sales ramped up about 8 hours after that video. Okay, that is a lot of sales, a lot of action being moved by a person talking about what's going on with just this one particular card and a few other cards mentioned, which seem to have ended up on my top 10. So let's remember that the markets can move for very strange reasons. Players have also emailed me talking about how they're trading in some modern stuff. They have extras just so they can go ahead and buy some of these reserve list cards in case they ever spike up again. They're tired of waiting for lower prices. They figure the price is fair right now. And I hope players who like the reserve list will take a moment, take a breath, look at the cards they truly desire and start working toward those goals. Because we haven't seen a lot of movement like this in a while, where it's tons of mana cards coming onto the list with enchantment cards and sorceries. We're not seeing creatures on the reserve list, we're seeing things. Mana-based cards, things that ramp, things that speed things up, and that is something we do need to pay attention to, because when it's this far across the board with this many sales going on, it's something to take note of. And yes, I understand reserve list players will love this stuff, and people who dislike the reserve list will just say this is awful and horrible for the game. I understand both sides of that coin. I walk that line all the time, and I still love collecting these cards. I still love playing this game every day and letting players enjoy themselves in the best way they know how. So whatever that is to you in the world of Magic the Gathering, I hope you have a blast. I hope you enjoyed today's video, because I found it really invigorating to see money come back into the market, a lot of sales changing hands, and a real chatter of conversation about some of these reserve list cards. Guys, thank you again for hanging out today with me on my channel today. I hope you enjoyed the top 10. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. And a reminder, there is no live stream tonight on Sunday. Instead, you will see me Monday, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. I hope you guys can make it out to the live stream. I look forward to talking about this and more conversations about Magic. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you soon. Welcome back to the Boomstick Edition. That's right, you're in the credits section, man. You're at the end. You're with the champions of the channel. These are the patrons, the ones who make it happen each and every day. Without these patrons, this channel would have folded a long time ago, so I've always got to give that shout out and props to all the amazing patrons I have supporting me each and every day. Without them, daily uploaded content is not possible, but in this case it is. So I'll see you tomorrow with another video. I wonder who wants to buy a reserve list card. Who thinks that maybe the reserve list cards are a good deal right now? Well, apparently a lot of people do, because that's a lot of sales. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. Ramble in the Jamble! You made it to the end, and all I've got to tell you guys, it is insane to see how many sales just happened. How many things went down? Mostly mana-based cards. Land stuff. Rudy mentioned that stuff in a video. People told me, I got all kinds of texts saying, hey, he covered the same information you got, man. He covered the stuff that you already said, but he's a bigger channel, so look how many views it's getting. I understand that, guys. I can accept that. That's awesome. Bringing the same level of information, maybe adding a few bits that I didn't have, and bringing it out to more people so they are aware of what's going on is a good thing. It is a great thing. And I'm awesome, happy. Just, this is wicked. Amazing sales. Awesome. Boomstick Edition all the way. You made it this far in the video, you drop a boomstick. Boomstick. If you don't, then you didn't make it. Guys, have a great day.